begin with some breaking news out of Syria. Reports of explosions in the capital, Damascus. Let's go straight to Resul Serdar, who joins us on the line from the Syrian capital. Resul, what more can you tell us about these latest developments?
Well, it has been actually indeed just roughly around 15 minutes that we have heard quite a loud explosion, and it has shaken the hotel that the journalists are staying in. And following that, we have heard several other explosions as well, not as powerful as the first one. However, it's still continuing. What we can understand from the sounds of the guns and so on now, the opposition fighters who recently took over the control of Syria and the capital city, Damascus, they are also engaging in firing them and firing back to the Israeli aerial vehicles. Look, this has been the case since the fall of the Assad regime. So almost hours after Bashar al-Assad of Syria has left the country, Israel started to bombing Syria, and not only the capital city, but almost every part of the country. So they have been hitting the northeastern city of Qamishli, attacking two military headquarters over there, and then Resul, then the Air Force and the ammunition depots in Aleppo in the north of the country. So we are talking about roughly Iran-Iraqi border, around Turkish border, and then the coastal city of Syria.
Okay, Resul, let's pause a second. Let's pause a second, because I need to clarify exactly what these explosions are. You are saying that you believe or you know that these are Israeli attacks, strikes. How would you describe them?
Absolutely, because that kind of loud explosion is impossible these are not the tanks or the artillery, these are not the gunfires, these are huge explosions that in the last couple of days we have been experiencing. So Israel, roughly around these hours, starting its air bombardments on the strategic areas across the country, but particularly focusing in and around Damascus, around the countryside of Damascus, and just roughly around 8 kilometers away from where we are, there is a Masda military airport, and still there are several aircrafts and aerial vehicles that are intact. And Israel almost every night is attacking, particularly that airbase. However, here Israelis are saying they're also attacking some of the chemical warehouses as well, the ammunition depots as well, and some of the other strategic locations. Though what we have heard a little ago was not a tank fire, not artillery, it was not a gunfire. It was an airstrike that we have been experiencing, as the same ones that we have been experiencing in the last 5 days since the fall of Bashar al-Assad. So, and now we're hearing that the opposition fighters, because in the first 2 days, when Israelis were heavily bombing Syria from the air, the opposition fighters were not firing back. But in the last 2-3 days, they also started to engage with them and firing back by the anti-aircraft systems here. However, Israelis are simply saying that their strategy is to destroy all the strategic places and to leave Syria, or the new administration in Syria, without any air defense system or without any air force. And that is the ultimate aim. That's why every day every night, let's say, they are conducting the airstrikes in and around Damascus. And these are, by the way, continuing for hours and hours. They're just not one-time strikes and then it's over. Sometimes they're just starting around 10 p.m. and continuing through the night and then until the morning. And yesterday, I was sleeping in my room, and roughly around 4 a.m. in the morning, I also woke up by the sound of an explosion, a huge explosion. So now we know, we can see that we know the difference between the gunfires and the airstrikes. And even in the airstrikes, the scale of the airstrikes is here. And particularly, these explosions are so strong because, first, it is the explosion of the ammunition that Israel is using, and that is also the one particularly they are shooting the ammunition, the depots here. So the explosion is almost becoming double. So that in the last 5 days has been a part of the life in Damascus and the people who are living in Damascus.
As you say, Resul, since the ousting of President Bashar al-Assad, Israel appears to have seized the initiative to do everything possible to destroy whatever military stockpiles may remain from the Assad regime.
Continuing, by the way, I had just heard another loud explosion, a little bit further away, but another loud explosion.
So we're talking not just in and around the capital city, but we're talking about the wider countryside around Damascus. Where in particular do we imagine these latest strikes are? Do we have any more understanding on what the intended target is on this occasion?
Most probably is, as of now, it's not confirmed, but most probably, as I said, it's Mazda military airport, which is around 8 kilometers to Damascus. This is one of the largest military airports, and the 4th Division also it was stationed there, but particularly it was hosting dozens and dozens of the Russian-made aircrafts, the attack helicopters, Russian-made again, and also the Russian-made air defense systems such as Panzer. And just 2 days ago, I was there and actually have seen the destroyed aerial vehicles, the helicopters, the attack helicopters, the carrier helicopters, the cargo helicopters, and also the aircraft that were completely destroyed, burned out by Israel. So now we're still, when we were there, the officials, the opposition fighters that are now in charge of the airport told me that in several of the hangars, still there are some of the aircraft and helicopters that are intact, and that's why Israelis are coming and continuing.
Right, Resul, let me try and get a deeper understanding of the dynamic here, because obviously there was a period of uncertainty, something of a power vacuum in the initial days after the fall of the Assad regime. HTS obviously seized control of the capital and other cities, but not necessarily many of the military warehouses and other installations belonging to the former regime. But what you are saying now, Resul, is that there are efforts to repel these Israeli attacks, that there are anti-aircraft guns being fired. Who? By precisely the HTS fighters or other associated groups?
Yeah, mostly HTS fighters. So when we talk about the opposition here, we're talking about a coalition of different factions. However, the dominant military power here is HTS. So when they first arrived to the capital city in the first 48 hours, for them the priority was to restore the order. And that's why they were not engaging in fire against the Israeli airstrikes, against the Israeli drones and other aerial vehicles. And by the way, when you're in Damascus, constantly now you're hearing the sounds of the drones that are just flying above you. And also quite frequently you're seeing the Israeli airstrikes sometimes having low flights as well. So that's why it's now not a secret, and also is a show of by the Israeli air forces, perhaps, that they are here, they're watching. And now, in the first 48 hours after restoring the order here, then we have seen that particularly the HTS fighters are starting to engage in a fire and trying to interfere to the Israeli, to attack the Israeli, or to answer, to somehow fight back to the Israeli aerial vehicles. However, when it comes to the aircraft, as they are flying quite on a high altitude, it is difficult for these anti-aircraft systems to really having a meaningful engagement with them. But when particularly the drones, Israeli drones, are flying low and trying to attack some of the military bases here or some of the strategic locations, we are seeing more and more the sounds of these anti-aircraft systems being used by the HTS fighters. And I suppose if Israelis continue attacking that, then this is going to be one of the main issues. So, look, in the first 48 hours, it's amazing to see how quickly the opposition has been able to restore the order here. The life got almost normal, back to the normalcy. But the main security challenge now in the capital are the Israeli airstrikes, continuous Israeli airstrikes, particularly through the night and continuing until morning for hours and hours. So it's not only the explosions that are really terrorizing the people in Damascus, but the places they're hitting are extremely in a close proximity of where the residential areas are. Even with one of the main focus that Israelis are targeting is the Masdeh military airport, and just around the Masdeh military airport, we are talking about thousands and thousands of the residential buildings as well. So that's why now the main concern for people in Damascus are the Israeli airstrikes.
All right, Resul, many thanks for that. Of course, do let